Hello, 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 everybody. Oh my goodness, it's Leslie Tagorda here, your brand astrologer and designer. And it is right in the middle of the full moon phase here on what day is today? January 10th. So today I wanted to come on really quickly today to talk about why we need to do rituals for our business. I also wanted to talk about some pointers for you to create your own full moon release ritual. And I just kind of wanted to to kind of support you on this really kind of overwhelming emotional day, right? So I'll wait for a couple of seconds while people get on here. I kind of mentioned, how do I see things here? Oh, well, I will just let that go. So I don't know about you, but I've been feeling kind of overwhelmed. I know I woke up this morning and, bad me, I went straight to my phone. I did wake up at 6:30 and I went straight to my phone and I was like, I was scrolling through things and I just saw people kind of like freaking out. There was somebody in my mastermind, poor thing, who's in the middle of launch, and she's like normally like this really calm and steady person, and she's like, I'm freaking out. She reached out to the group and asked for help, which is a really wonderful way to manage freaking out, right? So she did that, and I was typing in, all the cosmic energies that are going on today that really a lot of people should be feeling really on edge. And I'll get to some of those reasons why, what's going on cosmically, because it is going to be a big weekend of huge paradigm shifts that are all coming to exact. They're all building up, but this weekend is about exact and opening portals to the next phase. Like, this is all about endings. Okay. So good morning, Cynthia. Hello, my embodied goddess. Good morning, and yes, happy full moon in watery Cancer, reflecting the light of the earthy Capricorn sun. Oh my gosh, you must be really feeling it as an earth goddess. So anyway, that was one of the posts that I woke up to, talk, saying just be kind to yourself, because really that's what the theme of this weekend is, to be kind to ourselves, because there's so many things going on, right? And then somebody else was, I was talking to another astrologer friend of mine yesterday who was mentioning that all of the Capricorn pileup that's happening right now with Saturn and Pluto and the sun and all of these things right around 20 degrees Cancer, how it's right on her natal Mars. And we were talking about how that is acting as a pressure cooker, and she's feeling this really intensity of all of the energies building up. And when I think of a pressure cooker, I love cooking. So I'm like, well, at least we know on the other side of that pressure cooking is that there's something brilliant, either like this delicious stew, or even if you think about like an earthy thing like a diamond, right? There's always something amazing on the other side of pressure. So we just have to give ourselves space and freedom with that. All right. So let's get into it, because I don't have too much time today. I have to run off to a rehearsal. But I really wanted to talk about why we need to use rituals in our business. Now, I know Cynthia is a goddess at creating rituals, and she and I have talked a little bit, and I love what she does with creating altars. Does anybody else in here use rituals? I use a ton of rituals. I mean, there are some rituals that are like already baked into our lives, right? Like collective rituals, like birthdays and weddings and things like that, or holidays, right? Those are all really rituals if you think about it. But why do we want to use rituals for our business? Okay. So, one of the reasons why we want to incorporate rituals into our business is to feel empowered, right? To set intentions and to co create with our spiritual entities, right? Whatever spiritual guides you use, whether it be earth spirits, whether it be angelic spirits, if that's kind of, or ancestral spirits, whatever, if you have a spiritual practice, integrating that kind of spiritual energy. If you don't have a practice of integrating with spiritual energy, archetypal spiritual energy is great. Adopting spirits from other cultures, as long as you ask permission to use those spiritual archetypes, that's great. Or just Mother Nature spirits, right? The earth that we live on is a spirit. All living beings have a spirit. The moon goddesses, the universe, all of those are spiritual archetypes and energies that we can use and call upon to co-create, because truthfully, these energies want to co-create and want to evolve with us. There are spiritual entities looking for manifestation through us human physical beings all the time. And I know that I'm saying that from a woo-woo place, but when you apply it in your business, it makes manifesting so much easier. Okay. So that's one way, is to just feel empowered and in control, not in control. I hate to say in control, because the idea of control is kind of false, right? There's no such thing as control, because our lives are all wild cards. We don't know what's going to happen. So in reality, feeling in control is just being okay with outcomes, no matter what they are, right? So that's one way. The second way is kind of similar. It's about mindfulness and consciousness, right? So you hear a lot in the spiritual world about setting intentions. And really, the setting intentions is to be mindful, it's to be conscious. And in the business world, it's to be strategic. So what I mean by this is, instead of sitting down at your computer and answering emails right away, and then flitting off to this thing and flitting off to that thing, and then you realize it's time to close up from work and you got nothing done. What if every day you started your work with a ritual and said, mindfully, these are the things that I want to get started today? And, the most productive people already kind of do this, just the simple ritual of writing a to-do list. But I know that everybody here is more spiritually inclined. And even for me, every day that I work, I call in my devas of my business, and I co-create with earth spirits to help me create a container of what I want to do in a day. So I use a system from Paralandra. I was introduced to them almost a year ago, and I love working with them. It integrates using the devas and Pan and some other earth spirits to help you grow your intention, because these earth spirits actually see all of our projects, whether they're intangible business projects or tangible projects like a garden. They see everything that humans want to create as a garden. So the kind of container that I create on a daily basis when I come here to work is called a soilless garden. So even this morning when I started my work, I created a container for my entire days of work, right, on a macro level for today. But even before I came on this live, I did another micro ritual, right? So my micro ritual before I come on live, and I think all of us should practice this, right? Like when we're in marketing, you've heard this before. What do you want people to feel? What do you want people to know? And what do you want people to do? Right? So when I sit down and I set that intention before I come on here, I want people to feel inspired that they too can use rituals to be more intentional and mindful and strategic in their business activities, right? In their manifestation activities. I want people to know that they too can do it, even if they don't have a strong spiritual practice. It doesn't matter. Everybody can use rituals to grow and manifest, right? And then I actually want people to take these ideas and these steps and these tasks and use them, right? Like ultimately we can think about it, but thinking about it doesn't get us anywhere, right? We actually have to put our feet on the road and take that first step, right? And learn from each step going forward. So is everybody still here with me on that? Okay. So the next thing I kind of mentioned earlier, so we talked about feeling empowered. We talked about being strategic and mindful for uses for rituals. The third thing I want to talk about is to hold space. Now, the first time I came across somebody telling me to hold space, I think I was 27 years old. I definitely wasn't into like my whole woo-woo-ness yet. And I went to get this massage, and this amazing massage therapist, she came to me and she could tell that my head, I was somewhere else. I wasn't in the room. And she's like, okay, get undressed and we're going to get ready for your massage. And I'm going to hold space here for you so that you can fall into your body, so you can relax. If you choose to be like running your, your check account, your checkbook through your head while we're doing this, that's up to you. And like, she pinpointed that my mind was not in my body, right? So when we talk about the idea of holding space, it's creating a vessel, it's creating a container for us to bring in all of our scattered energies, because it's so easy to get scattered nowadays, right? Um, oh, Cynthia says, yes, I call in the soul of my business, to view it as something bigger than myself and to allow it to flow through me as a medium. Oh my gosh, that's gorgeous, right? To think about our business as a separate entity as us, that we are co-creating together. I love that soul of the business. Cynthia, we'll have to talk soon again, because I really, really want to catch up and hear what you're doing. I love your posts on social media. Um, so, the idea of creating space, right, for all of the energy, creating an environment for all of our work to happen, so it's not scattered everywhere, so it's concentrated, right? That may sound a little bit abstract, but the more that you work within containers and work within space, like spatial structures, energetic structures, maybe you use sacred geometry, maybe you have an altar, all of those kinds of constructs of creating space is a fantastic way, a reason why we need to integrate more rituals in our business, right? It's fantastic. You don't want your energy scattered everywhere, right? One of the other things about why we need to use rituals in business is for giving thanks, right? Giving thanks is more than gratitude, it's actually a celebration. And of course, as you build your own abundance, as you build your own manifestation, I know that all of us here have probably worked with gratitude and abundance and thanking before, because not only is it just nice, but it's a really honorable thing to do. It's acknowledging everything that was put in, right? Like if you take yoga and at the end, we thank our teachers, known and unknown, right? We thank all of the lessons, regardless if things went the way as planned or if they're perceived failure. I don't believe in failures. There's still lessons that we learn from. We give thanks because it puts us on our right path, right? So rituals are another, like giving thanks is another reason why rituals are so important in business, right? Whenever we close a ritual, we thank the spirits, we thank ourselves, we thank our highest selves for aligning us in our true path, and we release, right? That's part of a step of a ritual. But can you see how this integration of gratitude is such an important step in building the foundation for anything we want to co-create in our lives and our businesses? Okay. Um, and then, of course, we talked about intention setting earlier as being this kind of strategic platform for creating a business. But also, what we need to do is use rituals for endings, right? We know that we live in cycles, and endings aren't ever truly endings, right? They are often beginnings, right? And so this is a perfect segue into we're right in the full moon phase. The moon is not yet full, exactly full. When I say exactly full, they're both at 20 degrees. The moon will be in 20 degrees Cancer, and the sun is in 20 degrees Capricorn, creating this magnetic polarity. We're almost there at 11:21 a.m. Pacific and 2:21 p.m. Eastern. The full moon will be exact, and it's also an eclipse. So it's not an exact eclipse. Eclipses happen when the nodes are close to the sun at the time of the full or the new moon, and that's another subject for another time. But basically, the node is I think it's 8 degrees off. I'm not exactly sure. I have to double check from the eclipse from the full moon. So right now, when the eclipse does happen, the moon will just be going in the shadow of the earth. Okay, so it's not going to be like exactly right in the earth's exact shadow, but more of the outer shadows. So it's called the prenumbral. Is that, did I say it correctly? Oh, hello, Sessa. Hi, Robin. So in reality, this kind of eclipse, this full moon, it's about endings, right? It's the ending of a cycle. So now the full moon, you're thinking, okay, well, if the new moon was 2 weeks ago and the full moon is 2 weeks later, can a cycle happen in 2 weeks? Not really. The cycle, that lunar cycle that we're looking at, actually started 6 months ago, right, when the Cancer new moon happened. So think back think back to early summer, late spring, when the Cancer new moon happened. What has come into completion now with the Cancer full moon, right? So the full moon is if you choose to do a ritual around full moon, it's about releasing, it's about thanking, it's about harvesting, right? So those are wonderful rituals for endings, right? Similar to like the solstices, like winter solstice that we just celebrated, is the welcoming of the light, right? Because now we're kind of like marking a new path, an ending and a beginning. In music, we call these ellipses, where like a phrase ends but a new phrase begins, right? So there's always these wonderful places where we have to mark and acknowledge the passage of time. So that's all of the reasons. I'll just kind of quickly recap of why we need to use rituals, right? For empowerment, to feel like we are co-creators of our destiny, for mindfulness, intention setting, and strategy setting, for creating and holding space for all of our energies so that we can focus our energies to create, for giving thanks and acknowledging gratitude, right? Because that's so important. And then, of course, for acknowledging endings and milestones, right? So let's get into this full moon. All right, so I'm not going to be able to do a full moon ritual here with you, but I really do hope that all of you will use this opportunity to create a ritual of your own. However, you're going to do your ritual, know that we're working with the watery moon, right? So you're going to want to bring some water into it, and we're working with earthy sun. Right? So maybe you do something in the garden. Maybe you do something that integrates water and earth, anyhow that you want to do. And remember, this is about releasing and letting go and giving thanks. So typically with the Cancer moon, this is about our ideas around emotional security. At its most personal level, it's our relationship to our mother, right? Or our divine mother, how we felt nurtured and safe when we were a child. On a collective level, on a social level, it's our community and it's our places where we feel safe. And on a collective level, it's this idea of us versus them, kind of like the clan idea, not clan with a K, but clan with a C, like this is my space and your space and this is your space. And so that's why actually a lot of this stuff is coming into highlight right now with like the United States and kind of like issues around racism and issues around like pride. And it's really about us versus them. Now, that's the lowest expression. But if we can really look at the collective as we all belong, it's all of a safe space, that would be the ideal, the highest expression of Cancer, right? So when we think about the things that we want to let go of, right? It's this idea of like, where do we need to cultivate emotional safety, right? This is again collective, because you might have Cancer, the full moon activating a specific part of your life. So what I want to talk about is, let me go back to my notes so I don't get off topic here. So the theme for this full moon is safety and community and home versus the Capricorn ideals of responsibility and achievement and structure, right? Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, Cancer is ruled by the moon, right? So we have these two polarities of safety versus responsibility, and they can work together if we are really intentional about it, right? So my question when you're putting your ritual together is, what outdated and rigid systems do you need to let go of in order to rebuild your version of emotional security? Let me ask that again. Okay. What outdated and rigid systems do you need to let go of in order to rebuild your version of emotional security? Right? Now, if you're at a place at fruition where, this end of the cycle, you have built exactly what you want to build, you feel really confident, you feel really strong, then yes, thank and bless it because your fruits have come into harvest, right? For most of us, it's not going to be the case, right? There's something that's holding us back. There's something that needs to be re-examined. And, we're going to get into a little bit of the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, but the Saturn-Pluto conjunction that's going to be exact on Saturday, the 12th, really, this is like a 2-year transit. Those two planets are going to be in close orb all of 2019, all of 2020. Like, this is a theme that you probably really been feeling like, I need to rebuild. I need to be more responsible. I need to be more sustainable and frugal about how I want to build my business, my finances, whatever you are here to build right now, right? I know for me, my Capricorn pileup is right now in my 8th house of transformation, and it's opposite of where the moon in Cancer is in my 2nd house, right? So it's right on my financial axes. And guess what? Finances are at the top of my mind. I have to do business this year in a very, very different way. I was talking about it yesterday about how I've been in full invest mode and kind of like really not using my money very wisely. And so in this year, while I'm still in invest mode and I still want to spend, I need to be a little bit more judicious and more strategic so I can really build the foundation for my business that I want to see it this year, in 3 years, in next 30 years. But oh my God, I hope I'm retired in 30 years. Even though I love working, right? So I'm curious to know, what outdated belief systems do you need to let go of, right? Because we're working with Cancer Moon and it's about our ancestors, right? It's about our roots, right? And maybe from our mother's lineage, maybe from our father's lineage, but I'm going to be focusing on our grandmothers, right? Paternal grandmothers, maternal grandmothers, great grandmothers, great 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 grandmothers, right? What are those ancestral stories that you're still holding on to that really no longer serve you, right? We do live in an abundant time, and I know that everybody watching here, we are privileged. We are so lucky that we have internet access, that we have a computer, that we have technology to connect. And some of our, I know at least from my family background, my heritage, there were a lot of times where my family didn't have anything. And so the stories that my grandmothers told their children and their grandmothers told their children, all of these stories trickle down and live in us, live in our DNA. And sometimes we just need to cut those cords, right? Sometimes we just need to say, thank you for trying to protect me, but those stories don't serve me. So I know, at least for me in this ritual, because I was talking about my financial axes, I am looking at releasing these stories of my grandmothers that lived in scarcity, that have taught me that a man needs to provide, that a woman should just stay at home and work, because that's all the role models that I had, right? That story does not serve me. Of that we have to save every penny and not spend it, right? Cynthia says, to be more sustainable is a good one for me. Thanks for sharing. I need to let go of the expectation, like unhealthy expectations, so that I can allow my own journey to unfold that's unique to me and the medicine that I'm here to provide. That's so beautiful, Cynthia. I think sustainability is going to be a theme. I mean, sustainability has been a theme, but it's going to become ever more present in the next few years as literally resources are like, the world is burning. There's not enough resources right now to go to the people that really need them. Like, the universe is an abundant place, but resources are being hoarded by too little people. And so this idea of responsibility, social responsibility, and sustainability from our own selves, that we already have enough that we can share, is going to be a theme that becomes ever present, because this Saturn Pluto conjunction is the beginning of a new paradigm. That's why you're going to be seeing a lot more medicine women. You're going to be goods. It's about buying and valuing experiences and transformation. And I think that we are all here being the pioneers and setting the trends for a new paradigm. And that's why we need our strong voices. We need to be able to stand up and speak clearly and say, hey, I'm here to make the world a better place, right? That's why we're all here, right? Oh, hello, Lindsay. So when we're thinking about those outdated all those outdated stories that are holding us back so that we can build the new paradigm, I would love, love, love to hear. Let me see. I'm going back to my notes because I don't want to miss anything. So again, outdated belief systems, stories from your family that hold you back, ways of doing things in the past that are not going to help you build a strong foundation. All of those things need to be released and let go so that we can build a new sustainable future, so we can build responsibility into our brands and businesses so that we are here for the long run, right? So other astrological events happening today, we have Uranus is going direct. So it's stationary. So it had Uranus goes in reverse, in retrograde, for about half the year, just because it's such a far outer moving planet from our Earth, zipping around here, zipping around the sun. And so anytime a planet steps on the brakes before it moves direction, we're going to feel the energies, the magnifications of that energy, right? So Uranus is the planet of rebellion, and I'll post the chart later, but Uranus is making actually a trine to Jupiter. So when Jupiter expands anything, it trines, right? So we can expect to hear a lot of rebellion. So you might be feeling rebellion. All the protesters in Hong Kong, the protesters in South America, this energy is really, really supporting them. And so I'm really excited to see how everything goes. And I hope everything transforms and changes in a peaceful way, because the energy is a little bit erratic, right? So if you've been feeling a little bit electric erratic, Uranus handles our nervous system. That's why if you're feeling emotional because of the full moon eclipse, and then you got some electricity on top of that, it's not a good feeling, right? Right, Lindsay, I know you've been having a hard day. Yesterday was my really hard day. I'm feeling a little bit better, but I think just because I've been working with the energies a little bit. And then, of course, on the 12th, Saturn Pluto is exact conjunction. And it's really supporting this idea of the Cancer full moon eclipse, because Saturn Pluto, both of those are about dismantling old paradigms to rebuild a new paradigm, right? So I talked a little bit yesterday about the power grabs that are going on right now, and we're going to be seeing a little bit more of this. But what does this mean for us personally? For us personally is to let go of what we've been holding on to so tight, because we can't hold on to anything too tight. It's just going to slip out of our fingers, right? So let go, be kind to ourselves, bring in the change that we want, right? So I hope you all go back and use rituals, use a release ritual for today. Let go of what you need, use water, use earth, and call in your spirits that support you ancestrally, angelic, earthy, whatever you use, bring that in, and remember to ask permission to work with the spirits and make sure to give them thanks and acknowledge them for helping you manifest what you want to bring into this world, right? I know I'm talking about life and business here, but I know if you're here, you created a business because you have a better vision of the world and you want to improve the world. And I am here to help you really streamline your messaging, give you the courage and give you the safe space. Again, Cancer theme, right? Give you the safe space to create your dreams because the world needs you. Honestly, the world needs you so badly. All right. So, oh my gosh. Oh, wait, hold on. Here's some comments. Lindsay says, I felt so much energy shifting today. It's felt really erratic and anxious, but knowing that there's a way I can channel it would be helpful. Yes, please, Lindsay, do a ritual. Maybe taking a nice hot bath will be like perfect for you. Yeah. Oh, I just read. Do you think sauna or yin yoga would be best? Can you do both? I feel like working with water and earth right now because of the Cancer full moon is going to be wonderful. But oh my God, I love a good stretch. Like, yeah. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I am now officially 2 minutes late to get to my rehearsal. But I had such a wonderful time chatting with you here today. Keep me posted. And if you have any questions, again, please ask your questions in a post here in a separate post because I'm starting a podcast and I want to answer all your questions. And if you have a really good story to tell, if you have a very clear vision of the world that you would like to see and you want to share it with the world, let me know. I'll be putting out application requests for guests on my podcast because I want to share your story. All right. Happy full moon, everybody. Be kind to yourself.